Hey everyone, it's Sekaar, and I've got the first build video of the Gold Road chapter for you guys. I wanted to put something together that was very familiar, but also testing new stuff. So again, for the most part, this build is going to be very familiar from what you guys know. So I don't really want to hear you guys be like, oh, this is pretty standard. Yeah, I wanted to start off that way. That way we can add some really cool new stuff to it without getting overwhelming. So without further ado, let's get on with the build. So our main stuff, we're going to look at our attributes first. We're going to have 30 points into magic and 28 points into health and 6 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 23.2k, a max health pool of 32.2k, and a max stam pool of 19.2k. I also went Dark Elf for our Dragon Knight because I just wanted to try it out, and that overall extra weapon and spell damage, as well as that flame resistance and the extra little bit of magic and stamina really helps us out overall. And I really thought that, hey, I think that that's going to be the best overall way to help us out on Dragon Knight. I'm also trying out the Lover as our Mundus because I just wanted to have our pen be as high as possible. So I really liked using that. I feel like that's just a really good way to just sit at your base level. So if you look right here, our penetration's at 5. Ooh, that's actually on our back bar too, right? Ooh, that's on our back bar. So if we look at it on our front bar, we see that we have 8.1k pen at all times. So that's pretty huge. That's a great amount of pen to have. And plus on top of that, we're going to be getting major and minor breach to start as well. So again, this gets really nice as well. So let's go on to our gear so we can, oh, also, sorry, actually, before we get into our gear, that way I don't forget about it. We're also using Jewels of Misrule for our food. It's going to increase our max health. It's also going to increase our stamina and magic recovery as well, that we can get that as high as possible. And also Vampire Stage 3. I'm always Vampire Stage 3. It's no different. I'm always just trying that out, and it's just the best way to go in my opinion. So finally, let's get on to our gear. Bloodspawn's going to be our helmet. That's nothing new for DK. So that's going to be a heavy reinforced helmet. And then we're also using medium divine shoulders as well. The reason why we're doing that is because Bloodspawn is amazing for DK, that stamina recovery, and then also when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 13 ultimate and increase your physical and spell resistance by 3,700. So that is just built for DK because DK is really built around your ulti gen, and in my opinion, that's just the way to go. Also, we're going to be using a heavy Daedric Trickery chest piece for our back bar. Daedric Trickery is another classic DK set. The reason why we're doing this is because it's going to give us max health, max stam, max magic, and when you deal damage, you're going to gain one of 5 random major buffs for 21 seconds, and those buffs could be major expedition, major protection, major mending, major heroism, or major vitality. So it's giving us a lot of defensive major buffs, which is really good, and that really helps us out a lot on our DK. We also have one extra slot on this build, so we're using Bracers of the Trainee in Divine's Medium. That's going to give us an extra line of max health. And then also we're using Burning Spellweave as our front bar set. Like I said, guys, a very classic build to start off with, but don't worry, we're going to be adjusting a few things very shortly. So Burning Spellweave, it's going to be our front bar. It's going to give us a line of max magic, weapon spell damage, a crit chance, and when you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you're going to apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your weapon and spell damage by 490 for 8 seconds. So that's a lot of extra damage that you have, and I'll definitely always take that extra little bit of damage because look, that's a lot of weapon spell damage to have on an only 4-second cooldown. Basically, that's pretty nice, honestly. And then also on our back bar as well, for our back bar set, it's on our body at all times, our heavy legs of Daedric Trickery and reinforced, and our feet are also going to be Daedric Trickery Impen medium. Then our jewelry is going to be 2 Burning Spellweave rings. They're both going to be the exact same thing. Both are going to be infused with a weapon spell damage enchantment on it. So the new thing that we're trying on here is a brand new mythic called the Saint and the Seducer. We're going to be using it infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Basically, what this does is, while in combat, you're going to gain one of 5 random major buffs, which changes every 10 seconds. Enemies within 12 meters of you, are you going to gain one of 5 random minor debuffs depending on which buff that you have active. So basically, you can get Major Berserk, and when you have Major Berserk, your enemies will have Minor Maim. So that is huge amounts of damage. Major Resolve and Minor Breach, which is kind of the worst one out of the lot for us because we're going to mostly have Major Resolve up at all times anyway. And then major force and minor brittle, so that's increasing your critical damage a bunch. Major evasion and minor vulnerability, so that's gonna increase our tankiness as well, because major evasion is actually huge. And then major courage and minor cowardice, again, that's increasing your damage overall. I've been trying this out a lot lately, and this might be one of my new favorite mythics. I've been getting kind of bored of death dealers, and Markin I've kind of thrown out on most of my builds nowadays. So this is probably going to be something that's going to be a staple in a lot of my new builds, because this is a lot of fun. I've been having a really good time with it, and it was a really easy grind for the mythic. I definitely recommend going out and grinding that mythic right now, guys. It is a pretty easy grind, and I would just do that as fast as possible. So overall, I definitely recommend trying this out. It's a great mythic, especially if you just want to try out new things. It's a fun time. And our front bar, we're going to be using Burning Spellweave Maces. Main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a shock damage enchantment on it. Offhand is going to be Charged with a disease enchantment on it. And then back bar is going to be Ice Staff of Danger Trickery Impen with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. So let's move on to our champion points here. Our blue slottables are going to be Mastered Arms, Wrathful Strikes, Ironclad, and Untamed Aggression. Our red slottables are going to be Survival Instincts, Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, and Celerity. And our green tree, what we really care about is Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. Let me get that out of here. All right, so let's go on to our skills next. Our skills, oh god, I forgot what button it was. All right, so we're going to be using Molten Whip as our main source of burst potential on here. Molten Whip is the way to increase that damage as well. Is when you activate a different Ardent Flame ability while in combat, you're going to get a stack of Seething Fury, so it's going to increase the damage of your next Molten Whip by 20%, and it's also going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 100 for 15 seconds. So that's going to give you some really good damage when you get those 3 stacks out there. Also, I will get to those abilities in the future, but I'm just going to show you this now. Your other Ardent Flame abilities that this will cost, that will count towards this, are going to be Flames of Oblivion and Noxious Breath right here. So make sure you remember that. You're going to want to use those two before you apply Molten Whip. So Shattering Rocks is going to be our next ability. This is going to be your CC on this build. So when you're ready to get that burst damage out there, hit him with Shattering Rocks and then Molten Whip right afterwards, and they will take an insane amount of damage. And then, so Flames of Oblivion is going to be one of our Ardent Flame abilities, and it's also going to be a bunch of extra damage to apply. Don't really sleep on the damage of Flames of Oblivion. It is huge, and I really like having this to use between all of my other abilities. Also, on top of that, you're going to get Major Prophecy and Savagery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell crit by 2,600, so do not sleep on that at all. And then I am using Fiery Contingency, which is a scribing crafted skill, which I will show you guys exactly how to make this skill right after I'm done explaining all of the rest of my skills. So what this ability does is it's going to imbue myself with magical runes of something, I don't know how to say that word, for 22 seconds. And this is going to trigger when I cast an ability with a cost. So no light attacks, no heavy attacks. When you actually use a skill, this ability will apply. So what this will do is it's going to deal an extra 6,300 flame damage to enemies, and then also on top of that, so I mean that's going to get buffed whenever you have your Major Brutality and Sorcery buff up, and also your Burning Spellweave extra weapon and spell damage is going to increase that as well. So it's a lot of extra damage. Then also increases the damage done of your next direct attack used within 7 seconds by 2,000. So that is it. Huge extra damage. I'll show you exactly how I proc this and exactly what gives me the most amount of burst potential. Also afflicts minor breach for 22 seconds, reducing the physical and spell resistance of your enemies by 3,000 basically. And I know I'm basically doubling up with my minor breach, but I really didn't have another ability to use there in that slot. So mostly just having that on my enemies at all times, I'd take it any day of the week. So Noxious Breath is going to be our last skill on our front bar before we get to the ultimate. This is basically going to be a source of AoE pressure, but also on top of that, it's going to apply Major Breach to the enemy, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. This is a lot of talking. I haven't made a build video in a while, guys. I haven't made a build video in a long time. Anyways, moving on, we're also going to be using Take Flight. This is going to be the cheaper ultimate of the two, and I like using this one because honestly it's cheaper and it has more damage, so I like that. So basically, if you combo a 3-stack whip into a take flight into that whip, that is so much pressure to anybody that gets CC'd there. It is amazing. I definitely recommend trying out that combo. It's the combo as old as time. And then also igneous weapons. This is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 1.2 minutes. I wanted to get a scribing ability right here, but I have not yet unlocked a source of major brutality or sorcery for my affix scripts. So I want to get that done eventually, but I've been trying and I have not gotten any kind of drops for that. So we're going to keep on having this on the bar until we get that going. Also, race against time. This is going to be my source of major expedition, so it's going to increase my movement speed by 30%. It's going to be my source of minor force as well, so it's going to increase my critical damage on by 10%. And then also activating this ability is going to remove all snares and immobilizations to me and grant me immunity to them for 4 seconds. So that is great for your snare removal, and it's great to get you in and out of certain situations. Also, resolving vigor. This is going to be your nice 5-second heal over time to help you get right back up to full health. And also you're going to get minor resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. And then coagulating blood. This is going to be your burst heal, so when you're taking too much pressure for vigored out heal, hit this and boom, right up back to full health and you are good to go. Careful though, this ability is very expensive, so do not spam this without thinking ahead. And then hardened armor. This is going to be your source of major resolve, so this is going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k for 20 seconds. Also on top of that, you're gonna get a little bit of a damage shield as well. So what I've been liking to do lately, because this ability is a lot cheaper than spamming coagulating blood, is I hit resolving vigor and then I hit hardened armor. That way I get that shield, and by the time the shield is gone, my resolving vigor almost heals me back to full. So it is great. Try and combo those so you don't have to spam coag. It's been saving me a lot of magic, and I definitely recommend just trying this morph out. And then I've got Magma Shell as my ultimate on my back bar. I could go corrosive and increase my damage significantly, but I am getting zerged down constantly in the current state of Cyrodiil. So what I'm doing is Magma Shell, which basically it makes me super tanky. The damage that it applies isn't really anything, so I'm not even going to talk about the damage part of that. But basically, it's going to make me super tanky. And that's what I really care about, because the damage on this build, regardless, without having corrosive, is really nice. So I can kind of burst through people's damage if I could just go fully offensive for a second and not worry about healing me. I definitely recommend trying this out and just, you know, see how it goes for yourself. And that's the build, but I like I said, I was going to show you how to make that skill. So you go to the scribing altar, and what it's going to apply is I went to Ulfsild's contingency. Sorry, I'm really bad with these words. And I used the flame damage focus script. I used the warrior's opportunity signature script. And I used the breach affix script. Like I'll show you guys, I really did not have an opportunity to have a better affix script for this, because you have minor breach, which is part of Satan the Seducer, minor enervation, which I mean I don't really care about that, to be honest, minor force, which I have at all times with race against time, minor intellect and minor endurance, which I mean that will increase my overall recovery, so maybe that's the best way to go. It's just not what I've done lately. Look, I think that might be honestly the best way to go. Minor resolve, I mean I have resolving vigor for that. And then minor vulnerability, which is like, that's also on Satan the Seducer. So I really just chose breach because I was like, yeah, that'd probably be the best thing to have at all times. But now that I look at it, intellect and endurance probably might be the best way to go. And then I also use tripods because tripods are awesome. They help me with my overall recovery, my burst healing as well. So I've just been using the crown ones lately because they're free, and I'm cheap. Anyways, that is the entire build. I really hope that you guys enjoy. I wanted to keep something pretty simple while also, wait, I have my food went down. I wanted to have something simple while also trying out some new things, because a lot of people in chat were talking to me over the last few days and they're like, hey, why are you trying this build with this kind of stuff? And really, I felt like Daedric Trickery and Burning Spellweave is a very base way to go with MagDK. I think is a very solid middle of the road build that is good, and I think that it's very good in the hands of anybody. So most people run either Markin or Death Dealers with that, but I was like, hey, what if we try out Saint the Seducer? We can see how this takes the build, because, you know, when you're doing an experiment like that, you don't really want to change too many variables. So added this in, and the build was still hitting extremely hard, and I was having a really good time on it, and I was really enjoying it. The only things that we really changed up were this Mythic and the skill right here on our front bar as well. So guys, that is the entire build. I really hope that you enjoyed. If you did enjoy the video, please do not forget to hit that like button. Also, if you're not subscribed, hitting that sub button would be awesome, dude. Like genuinely so awesome. We're almost at 9,200 subscribers, so maybe we can get to 10,000 by the end of the summer. If you guys want to help me out, if you guys want to, you know, subscribe, help me get to that 10,000 mark. I don't know, I'm just saying. But guys, that is the entire build. I really appreciate you guys being here. I couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.